Yeah.
Now, you talked about safety. What is your major concern when you're out there?
The major concern when you're out there is just like you would be on the regular street, inattention. So we're always telling the guys on track, you have to pay attention to your surroundings. Number one, the flag stations. We have several flags, and we go over this in the driver's meeting. Everyone has to attend the driver's meeting before they go on track. We have flag stations that will communicate what the conditions of the track are at that point. So each day is broken up into different sessions, and every session is about 25 to 30 minutes long. That's as long as you go out on the track. Then you come back in, you rest for a couple hours while the other sessions are running, then you go back out. So I'm always telling the guys, on the straightaway, you glance down and check your gauges. Make sure your car's not overheating. Make sure you don't run out of gas,
right.
And also watch the cars around you. If you're honed in on the car right in front of you and you're coming into a corner really fast, you're not noticing if 3 or 4 or 5 cars ahead at a corner, somebody had already spun off track and they're sitting in the middle of the road with a bumper loose. So you have to pay attention to your surroundings. So that's key. The next thing that we worry about is the safety of the vehicles themselves. We always do a tech inspect. So we're taking to make sure that the brake fluid is good, the pads are decent, making sure that the car has enough oil, that the wheels are torqued on tightly and they're inflated properly, things like that. So in a street car like my Miata, you have to have a 3-point seat belt just like you would driving down the street, and you wear a helmet. In some of the race cars, which they bucket out, meaning they pull out the carpet, the interior, some of the seats, and they put in race seats, they have to actually have fire suits, because if there were a fire in the car, it wouldn't burn the interior, it would burn them. In my car, the interior actually insulates you. So we check all this before we put the folks out on track. So safety being paramount is kind of up to the individuals to watch out for themselves while they're on the track.
So going from a race enthusiast to becoming a professional, what do you see is the way, how do you do it?
There are several different routes, and like in many industries that are very particular about the people that move up and become stars, for example, a lot of it is who you know. But if you're becoming a race car driver, you have to be a very good businessman, because most of it is sponsors. Wow. You have to be able to sell your sponsors. So, for example, myself, being just an enthusiast, if I were to try to move over to professional racing, the first 2 things I would like to do or try to do would be able to get a competition license. The competition license allows you to race wheel to wheel. So you would have a sponsor, a person who's already a professional driver, monitor the way you drive around a track, and they will endorse you. And from there, you can get either your SCCA license, which stands for the Sports Car Club of America, or your NASA license, which is National Association of Sports, something to that effect. Sorry, okay. I draw a blank on that.
Yeah, they can look that up.
Yes. But once you get into that,
right,
and you become a wheel-to-wheel racer and your car is ready to go, you have to get sponsors. It's way too expensive, unless you're a millionaire, to race a car on your own dime. And your sponsor would be anyone from like Hankook tires to, Garrett turbos, whoever could give you a little money or parts that can help you get to those race events and drive. There are a lot of amateur/pro race car drivers that I know that I do race with at the track. So they fund their own cars, their gas, their tires, things like that, but sponsors only help them out a little bit. And every time they win or place or even just get to a track event and do well, they have to blast on social media, on the radio, wherever they can, and tout those sponsors' names, Thanks very much to Hankook tires, that sort of thing.
Where are some locations? Let's say I'm interested and I want to learn more. Where would you start?
The easiest tracks to start on in Southern California is Willow Springs, which is out near Rosamond. And they have a complex there with 4 different tracks: a small track, a big track, a curvy track, and then even a skid pad type of track where you can get car control. They have another track out in Buttonwillow, which is off the 5 freeway and Yurdo Highway, Bakersfield area, way out in the middle of nowhere. They put a new track up in Chuckawalla, which is about 50 miles from the Arizona border. A lot of times these tracks are far away from anything else because of the noise and the traffic and things like that. A couple other tracks that we go to are like Laguna Seca, which is a world-famous racetrack, and that's probably one of the more expensive tracks to go to. And then even California Speedway, which is also known as Auto Club Speedway here in Fontana. Right. And that's an oval, but they have an infield track for cars like ours to go around. Right. So one of the big differences when you say, hey, I do this as a hobby, people will say, like NASCAR, you go around in circles.
Yeah, right.
No, these are road courses where they have multiple turns, multiple straightaways, braking zones, even elevation changes. But those are our local tracks, and there are a few more in Arizona and in Nevada that we go to.